Big Al. He was born in Chicago in 1937 and was kind of a mischievous child, to say the least. He didn't do bad things, just got in a lot of trouble. Sketching free rides on the streetcars in the wintertime, greasing up railroad tracks where steam engines couldn't get going, and all that kind of stuff. He had some academic differences with a couple of different schools. Well, he saw things differently. And by the time he was 17, 18 years old, he realized he wasn't on track to be a college student, so it looked like the armed forces was his path. At the same time, he wanted to buy a car. And his father, my grandfather, said, no. And my dad said, well, why not? My grandfather lived in Chicago his whole life and never owned a car. He didn't need one. He could use public transportation. Don't waste your money. And my dad said, well, I'll fix you. You let me buy a car or I'm going to enlist in the Air Force. My grandfather said, don't let the door get shut. And my dad would tell that story even recently, and he still felt kind of spiteful towards my grandfather, but my grandfather knew that was the best thing for him. The Air Force would straighten him out. And it did. He learned some skills, he learned some valuable skills with management, with working with people, with structure, order, and discipline. He was a mechanic in the Air Force. He used to work on what would be today cellular phone towers. Back then, they didn't have cellular phones, but they had repeater stations for the radios they used. And these are crucial for communication, and they were powered by gas generators, and he repaired all the generators. And he was in from 1955 to 1959, so he just was in peacetime, just after the Korean War and before Vietnam. So it was a good time for him to be there. He didn't see, active combat or anything. People used to ask him what he did in the Air Force, and he would tell them he flew a truck. After the Air Force, he signed on with the Park Ridge Police Department in 1960 as a patrolman. And I think the Air Force and repairing those relay stations gave him a sense of responsibility greater than himself. And he morphed that into his police career. He went from a patrolman, he rose through the ranks, sergeant, lieutenant, retired to commander. And he wasn't your typical police officer in the sense that he didn't do the job to be a powerful person and to be in control of the world. He truly felt responsible for the people in his community and was committed to public safety. He was the great protector of everybody who was around him. He always felt a sense of comfort that he was there. But he had a secret weapon. A big, tall, gruff guy, carried a big gun, but he had a tremendous sense of humor. And I think that was the genius in his approach, because he wasn't about confrontation. He was there in situations to tell us funny stories and tell jokes, which would diffuse situations. And looking back, when people are laughing, they're not harming each other. And I think that was his ace in the hole. And I think that's why he ascended through the ranks. I don't think he sat up at night saying, boy, what do I need to do to become the next rank? I think everything, the department kind of wanted him in these positions because you want a guy like that to be on the force, to be looking after your community. So, as we sit here today, it's hard to imagine that he's not with us, and I truly feel that there are things we will think of every day. Next time you hear some elevator music somewhere, or get a smell of Aqua Velva aftershave, or perhaps hear this sound in church. still around. And I have no doubt that St. Peter is now giving him a hard time for all of the jokes that Al told that started with St. Peter's at the pearly gates. Any number of individuals around. But I also believe that at the end of the day, Big Al's going to make sure the gates of heaven are locked at night. And it's a safer place. Thank you.